All right. So one of the most important things in actually starting a business is knowing who your audience is. And in particular, knowing your audience, what really makes it thrive is delighting your customers. But in order to delight them, you have to know exactly who your customers are. It's super important. The more you know about your customers, the better you're going to be at tailoring your product, tailoring your services to make them happy. So here in the Valley, we have this concept called a persona. And the persona, the purpose of it is to really figure out an archetype, a specific instance of a customer, and to get intimate details about your customer base. So that way you have enough information to tailor your products and services towards your customer. So what I thought I'd do is start out by pinging you with some questions, Justin, and asking you, who's your target audience?
That's a good question. My I feel like my target audience is I have a service-based business, so my audience is actually um, honestly artists themselves because uh, what I do as far as training and production, um, the part that I'm looking to build is the artists themselves. So it's a I've had clients from R&B to country, and so I have a wide base of an audience that I'm looking to service. But it's really the artists themselves, so musical artists or people looking to be trained into music.
All right, so let's get a little bit more focused, right?
Okay.
Let's give it a name. It doesn't have to be a real name. It could be a made up name for a typical artist that you want to target.
Typical artists I want to target. A name. I would say um, um, uh,
Is it Becky, Darnell,
let's say like
Nene?
let's say what's a good name? I would probably say like a fun name. Let's say Uniqua.
Vasilinica?
How about that? The Uniquas of the world, for
The
sure.
Uniqua.
Yes.
All right. All right. So, you're doing work for Uniqua. And how old is Uniqua?
Uniqua is in the range of that. I would say Uniqua is about 23 years old.
All right.
Let's go with that.
So, Uniqua, if she's 23, then she's just learning about the business, just getting into it and everything. And
Yeah.
what's her genre?
Her genre is a pop music,
Mhm.
pop R&B. Probably pop R&B would be her style.
All right. Now, how much experience does Uniqua have in the music business?
Um, Now I would say that she would have uh, some experience in the industry. Um, for me, it's more about understanding that that's what you want to do. So like there's a that as long as it's a call for you, I'm good to go. But for me, as far as Unique was concerned, I would say she would have limited but very little experience in the industry because of a lot of the other um, things that I bring to the table. So I would target someone that had the heart for industry, but someone that I could build.
All right, now so Unique was she's motivated. She wants to
Yeah.
break out in the business, but she's had some challenges that prevented her from doing this on her own, which is why she needs your help. So can you
Okay.
describe some of the challenges that she's had?
Um, not having music, no original music. That's a big common issue. Um, no proper music training, vocal training is something that's really common. Usually, just talent alone would be what they would be focused on, and they have desire, but they may have songs written, but nothing that is actually produced well or able to be put out. They may take tracks off of YouTube and do it that way, but nothing catered especially for them as an artist.
Gotcha. All right. So Uniqua, she heard some songs on the radio, and she started singing covers for other people,
Right,
but no original lyrics herself. She hasn't had the score behind her, so it sounds professional. Um,
right,
she's got natural talent. She's been in church and on the corner, and everyone's been like, "Oh, girl, you can sing." But it
right,
hasn't been one of
right,
those things where we recognize here's some distinct vocal talent. She hasn't had the training. She hasn't
right,
exercised her voice enough to really make it flow the way it should.
right, right.
All right. Any other challenges she's trying to overcome?
I think um, just no, I think that's the main challenge is really to get production done and to send them on the trajectory of a true artist and let them be heard. And no, I think that's pretty much it. That would be my biggest focus.
So one of the main purposes of a persona is really, again, to deeply understand her challenges so that you can figure out how to tailor your product or service to overcome it, right? And one of the ways we do that is just by kind of giving an overall flow of how does she interact in the music business itself. And then based on her interactions, you can actually tailor your product or service and say, hey, if she's going to interact with the music business this way, here's how I can jump in and help. And then she interacts with it this way, here's how I can jump in and help. So let's just flow through. Here's how she interacts with the music business itself, right? So
Okay.
one of the main things that I believe Uniqua goes through, again, she hears a song, she wants to, probably get on the radio, so she records a cover, she goes to a karaoke bar, you know,
Right, right.
that's probably like, is that the typical way she tries to break into the music business?
A lot of times, yes, a lot of times. Go to the karaoke bar, they try to record it on their phone, and then
Uh-huh.
they'll take it and say, "Well, this is me," and then they'll bring it to someone like me or someone that has a connect and try to do it that way. Yeah.
Okay. And so she made this recording at the karaoke bar. Her friends is all, oh girl, this is dope. This is it. Right? And she takes it to the radio station like, hey, look, you gotta play my hit, right?
Well, not quite, not quite. They won't take it to the station. What they'll do is they'll take it to someone that they think can show that off or show that and produce them. They'll take it to a producer. They'll take it to a major producer and
Okay.
be like, look, I really am gifted. So you need basically you should probably think about recording me and try to use that as sales, like for themselves or to try to get themselves signed. Everybody think being signed is the main thing. So they'll take that and they'll whatever thing and they'll bring it to a A&R or a producer, a music producer, and they'll say, "Well, my friend can sing," and they'll try to do it that way.
Gotcha.
So it's usually to get to the producer, not necessarily to the radio.
All right. And then once it goes to that producer or it goes to the A&R, what happens next? What's their next
So
interaction?
the that's the varying part because if you come in with the wrong producer,
Mm-hmm.
it could be they get dismissed really quickly. Okay. Or, I mean, if they do take them in and start working with them, um, it's usually you have to find the right situation, somebody that really believes in you, that'll put the time into growing where you're going. And honestly, and that's what I'm doing. Honestly, that's what I'm talking about doing, being that person that they come to before they go to the radio station and being that person. Because I've had the situation where you have people that are looking to expand on their gifts and you go to situations where they can get taken advantage of really, really quickly.
I mean, when you mentioned taking advantage of, like, what typically happens?
Um, you have a producer that is uh, going to take your product or take you, and let's say you don't necessarily uh, fit with them, they'll either ghost you, try to take advantage of you. Um, I mean, plenty of situations where uh, things don't necessarily. I mean, honestly, like some of the guys physically trying to take advantage of women. I've heard of situations where they take songs from you. I mean, it's a lot that people can do to kind of manipulate that type of power situation where you're coming in fresh
Right.
and just wanting to be heard, and then someone does something that's just why would you do that? Instead of just saying, hey, no, not, right now I can't work with someone like you, or just shifting them on to someone that can grow. They will just take advantage of you, and that'll be it.
Gotcha. All right. So, yeah, I take it to my producer. Unique what goes through. She gets rejected 8 times. She goes to another producer and another producer, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's this constant rotation. And but typically, how long does that last? 'Cause I've heard of people going through that for years.
Uh-huh. It can. It can. I mean, people are usually looking for that catchy thing. I mean, everybody's trying to be, relevant and a star. And so they're looking for that certain thing. And so that could take years. It could take I got people that are still been doing music for 15 years and not really getting an opportunity, but they're doing music. But there's a way to make that can be successful if you do it the right way. But people are often looking for a deal, or they're looking for a chance to be on the biggest stages and feel like that is the ultimate success. And so to guide people through those processes, um, there's a lot of ways to win. And if you have someone guiding you that is really for you to do that, instead of just let's cut a record. Oh, that's not a hit. Yes, that's a hit. That's not a hit. And then just closing the book on that and saying, well, you didn't make any hits.
All right. So again, normally what we do in this persona is we go through kind of we call it the customer journey, right? So all the interactions they have, breaking into the music business, going to A&R, we go through the journey of here's how all this stuff happens, right? And so next part of the journey is they talk to the A&R, and let's say they get lucky and they get some love, right? So they talk to the A&R person that says, hey, we want to work with you. Then what happens? What's that work look like?
Oh, that if they get that, that's great. And you would get an opportunity, which is a critical part, an opportunity to earn um, a position where they will be coming to you to present them a lot of music and a lot of ideas for music, where they would push you as an artist. And what you want is the A&R to back you as an artist and to be putting your stuff out and allowing and creating and supporting your fans and supporting your system of how you're going to perform, whatever that looks like. And so you want the A&Rs to support your music. And so a lot of times, a A&R or a situation with a label, I mean, some of these artists are just sitting. They'll be doing albums and they do them, but they'll sit because the A&R does not feel like it's their time, or the album is not quite ready, or you go through the process of just waiting, and they'll sit on you. What you want is a situation where A&R or the production team or the label is actually actively pushing everything about you as an artist to your fan base, and flooding the markets with your sound, or not even flooding the markets, but creating the strategy of how to push your sound forward.
All right. So now Uniqua, she's got with the A&R, right? She's working
Mm-hmm.
with the A&R, but the A&R is like, it may not be ready yet. So now she's part time. She's doing bar mitzvahs, trying to scrounge up, you know, the little wedding singer,
Yeah.
trying to make ends meet because she's not getting paid through all this whole thing, right? This is
Right. No.
trial promotion, right? So
Right.
she's doing all this for free. So, she got a part-time job at Target, and she's doing the bar mitzvahs and the wedding stuff on the weekends,
Right.
hoping to make her break. And then what happens after that? Let's say she gets lucky. The the A&R says, "All right, it's good enough. We're gonna put this out." Then what happens?
So, what'll happen is hopefully they'll submit a situation where they get an agreement as some type of advance or something to pay for their cost and those sort of things with recording and all that stuff. So the best situation is to have an advance and for the company to have a vehicle to push your artistry forward. So you wanna have that kind of situation. That's not always the case, but um, the deal that you would get is an advance for your product. And so we just have to be careful that that's exactly what we're doing and that you don't accept something before that. But that's the ideal situation is for them to give you some paperwork and allow you to grow your business underneath their umbrella with the proper backing and hoping that you strike lightning in a bottle so that everybody can see it, and that's what everybody wants.
All right, so that's a good explanation of the journey. And again, what we like to do and with personas is we think about that whole customer experience, that whole customer journey, and then we
Yeah,
go through and we think about, all right, well, now that we have that journey situated, what are the products and services that you offer? What are the solutions for all the problems they have at each step of those journeys? Right. So, starting at the beginning on that customer journey, we talked about Uniqua actually recording at the karaoke bar, right? And how can
yeah.
you make that experience better? What do you do to improve that?
Oh, yeah. um well, the first thing is first. I do a lot of I do vocal training. I'm a vocal teacher and trainer. And so, I definitely advise that singers sing. So, like that karaoke experience is what I'm about. I enjoy helping people and guiding them through situations in singing, through their techniques in singing. So that would be the way I would guide in that particular phase. Would just be the one-on-one, note for note. How do you attack your singing? So I'm really focused on that. And so like I'm very in tune to that. I train. I've been training for about 10 years now. So that would be my focus on that. If you have the musicianship part where you play an instrument and things like that, we would provide some guidance in that area and put you in a situation. But ultimately, it starts at the bottom row is the training, making sure that you're maximizing your voice. So we definitely provide that, and we have tools to help that.
Yeah, and that was big news to me because I'm an athlete and everything. I don't know if y'all can see, but I've been working out a little bit. But someone told me that your voice is it's a muscle. It's just like any other muscle group. So the
Right?
training, you actually got to work it out, where
Yeah, you
you're
gotta work it out.
actually building it. You're stretching it like any other muscle group. You know,
Yeah,
overtaxing it. You got to get the right amount of rest. So the muscles can build up, and then fine tuning the flexibility of how you actually move your vocal cords in order for it to
yeah,
make the notes and everything. And I didn't know it was all that deep. I was just, hey, I just Sunday morning, I just went out and church and sang. I thought that was it.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you're
It's
giving them
a
all those
whole lot to it.
exercises and
All of the exercises, the training, the tips on how to warm up your voice. You'll have you know a, a 30 minutes to an hour warm up sessions with me. You'll record them with me, and then you can have that and be able to do that everywhere you go. There's techniques that I've been uh, trained with, like the straw technique was a really cool one. A friend of mine, another vocal trainer, her name is Mindy Pack, that came up with the voice straw, which is another technique to help. with just opening up your voice. And so like there's so many cool little tools. How to lozenges, what do they do? Water. A lot of people think that milk is bad for you, and it's like, talking to them about lactose and all the different things that can be, some of the conceptions that we have in our minds as a singer. And when I grew up, and we grew up in church, and so everybody was breathe from your diaphragm and push songs out, and how that deals with it, and some of the misconceptions with that. So it's like a lot that has been juggled and thrown out there over the years that we sift through and make sure that we're good to go as a singer. Yeah.
Now, one thing that when people do personas, they neglect the emotional side because it is Unique was going through some emotional things.
Oh yes.
She was on the corner and everybody was hyping her up, and then she records a demo and the AR was like, "You're a dime a dozen," and she's like, "What?" You know. So so how is she feeling emotionally through this whole thing, and how do you take care of those needs when she's just starting out trying to get her first recording?
I think that's one of the reasons why I started to really want to do the production part of it, is because a lot of the A&Rs, a lot of the producers, honestly, I mean, there's so many good people and there's so many not good people. And so you can really be destroyed by this if you don't have the right people around you that can help build, if they're trying to build your artistry and build you as an artist. And so with me being someone that has been doing music for since I was a kid, is like, you want someone that can help you through those times where, yeah, you want to submit and be produced by top producers, but let's say um it doesn't manifest the way you think it should. You want people, you still want to work. That does not mean you're terrible. I mean, a no is not complete denial every time. It's maybe not now, and you might have still some work to do. So it's just having the right people around you that can help build and cultivate your artistry as far as musical, the artist development piece, where you're building. We've been a part of that, where I have personally helped a whole lot of artists and doing artist development for years now. And so that's every bit of part of what I do. So yeah, you want to go out for those big producers and things like that, but there's so much to be gained in the process of chasing after Quincy Jones ish or Pharrell. Before there's so much that you can go through, and you probably still want to be working as you're pursuing that, along with other producers and different things like that. So it's a lot to learn, and I definitely can guide and help and assist, and hopefully we can make some great music along the way too.
No, no, and I'll turn this to Brother Long because one thing we always recommend, especially in the Valley here, is you do something you're passionate about, do something that you love, and that way, if you're doing something you love, it doesn't feel like work, and so you put more hours into it, and putting more hours into it, you develop the expertise. So one thing that we've talked about, especially in our community, everyone has that side hustle and they're trying to do 8 different things, but we've always been recommending just pick one thing, and just work it so it gets better. So, again, while they're going through this process, we usually recommend, hey, don't get the job at Target. If you're trying to break into the music business, get a job that's music related that pays the bills, right? So I have one flight attendant, and she got into she's working for Southwest, and what she did for every flight, it started out with a song, you know, and that's what she did, and passengers loved it. She got all this applause on the PA system from the people before they took off and everything. So being able to get a job that incorporates musical talent and musical aspirations, and it works, right?
Yeah, it does.
Singing telegrams, right? Brother Long, do you think about some more careers people can actually do instead of that Target job? Where they can actually get into the music business and start singing. What do you guys think?
Youth groups. We need a lot of people to get involved with our youth. Sometimes we have grown people with not much to do and children without much to do, and we got married at two. And
Right.
so if I was a person who was trying to sing, and it was hard for me to find a way to do that, I would look to the different organizations and things that have children and try to see if I can put together some type of children's music group, and the parents will pay for you to teach their kids music and support that. You can create a job for yourself.
Justin, what do you think about that? Would that work? Would a good hustle?
Now you know how we grew up, and so we were singing in those music groups when as a kid, and so I know in particular that there's definitely a huge void. There's plenty of groups that they would love to have, especially the younger seed at the age that I'm looking at, at that 23 or, anywhere in that vicinity from 16 to 30, really, honestly. And that you're looking for a place to kind of sow and really kind of grow and still make a little bit of money too. Absolutely. There's so many programs that'll be willing to do that. And it's just about strategizing and coming outside the box of just a touch, having the conversations with the right people in your, even in just in your community where you are.
Right.
So much. They have budgets and all kinds of stuff for programs, especially for arts or just for a chance to sing or they can carve out a little bit for you. Of course. Yeah, absolutely.
You got after school programs, you got the NAACP, you got the YMCA, you got the churches. And these are four things that you will find all over the country. You'll find schools with an after school program. Mm-hmm. You'll find churches with children. You'll find an NAACP, and you'll find the YMCA. And like you said, they have funding to do things like this for extracurricular activities for the youth.
And let's take it a step further. They have budgets in our communities. I know where I'm at down in Georgia, they have budgets for putting together live shows for parks. Budgets for, just every neighborhood gatherings. Just a neighborhood so that like there's amphitheaters everywhere that seated or non-seated that they'll allow you to perform and so there's so many different ways. You just have to partner with somebody that's willing to kind of brainstorm it with you, and if you can get with your local congressman or someone that's in your area that can guide you through what that would look like, I promise you it could be a great situation for sure.
Yeah, and Brother Long, those are areas that people don't normally think about, right? Going to the YMCA and going to church groups and things like that. But but those are excellent opportunities, right? We should take advantage. No, another thing, here's what I noticed. Again, I grew up in inner city Cleveland, and everything, and we used to go to different spots, go downtown, and you hear people performing on the corner, and they were trash. It was awful. Right? But then I got older, I went to Paris, and I'm like, Dad, these are like professional artists out in the corners, right? I go to now I live in Silicon Valley, so you go downtown San Francisco or downtown San Jose, and you got people. It's like, man, you're a product of Juilliard or something. It sounds really good. And so I'm wondering, some of those are city-sponsored programs that go through, but some of them are just people who decide, hey, you know what, I'm gonna earn some extra money. I gotta practice anyway. Let me just go downtown to a crowded area, put the hat out, and go ahead and do my thing, rehearsing, and just make some extra money. How do you feel about people taking that entrepreneurial spirit, taking their career in their own hands, and saying, hey, let me rehearse in public and earn some extra funds that way?
I like to say something about that because that was life-changing for me when I went to New York City. I'm from Akron, same LeBron James. I'm from Akron, right. Okay, a kid from Akron. So anyway, when I went to New York and I saw people, some of them were breakdancing, some of them were playing strange instruments, some of them were singing, rapping, and they put their hat or whatever out front, and they were doing their thing, and people came by and put money. For me, I was a talented musician. So it never even occurred to me because if you don't see these things, you can't try to be what you don't see. Okay.
Right. That's right.
And so we never saw anybody out there on the street, and they were making good money. So I think that's great. And we got to find a way to kind of just spread that awareness so that the kids that's in band like I was, If somebody would told me, man, just go out there and practice, because I had my little thing, I had to practice all the time. If I would have been out there practicing, people would have gave me money because I was talented.
Right.
Nope, just never thought of it.
So, Justin, what are you thinking about this? Is it something good to do? Sorry, just
Absolutely.
out there.
Absolutely. Like there's a lot of ways to remain busy, and the one thing I would say to that is, you know, I remember when I'm from Akron too. Okay, I was born in Akron. I'm here actually now on vacation visiting my in-laws. But one thing I would say is, you know, my parents used to have us singing at nursing homes all the time, and you never think, you know, you think, oh man, they're just having to sing for these people and it's cool. But
Right.
then when you walk away and you realize, first of all, I got a chance to sing. I got a chance to sing and exercise my gift. And then I humbled myself and did it. And then at the other end, you realize I exercised my gift. And number two, like it really does impact people, and you really find that significance in how people are touched or moved or just entertained. Just somebody just come and be it. So it's like, you know, I would say definitely as many chances that you can go out and do these little things, they're so helpful to pushing you towards that call. That's
Right.
what I would say.
All right. This has been very enlightening for me. Any last minute comments before we wrap up the first episode of our Black Valley podcast here?
I think some of the a few talking points for maybe a later time. One would be the difference between, for lack of better words, I call them independent versus dependent artists. The person who is coming in with a karaoke recording, they ought not be expecting a distribution deal. You know, they need more than that. So we have to have realistic expectations, because we see somebody get a distribution deal, so we want a distribution deal.
Right.
But that's not what you need. You need the whole support system.
There's so much to that.
I noticed in your personas, I didn't know what to call it, but you wanted to give me what to call it. It seemed like ethical sales, or even righteous ethics. But that's something we need to talk about, because a lot of times this made me actually want to get in sales. I've been adverse to sales because the stereotype of the salesman is the sleazy salesman. Right. And I grew up in a restaurant where we was hustling. We wasn't really focusing on the customer. We was just hustling. We didn't even care if they came back. So the idea of looking at that person, instead of hustling them and don't care if they come back, but you actually care about them, and then you create a menu for them based on what they need. I mean, we need that type of spirit in our community when it comes to sales and business. We need that, and I feel like we need that. Okay. In 2002, another thing is based on the story I just heard, it's hard for me to believe, because we kind of behind the curve, because back in 2002, we had the recording software on the computers in 2002. So to think that 11 years later, by this time, you could probably get it on your phone. They probably got some software on your phone. But to think that folks are still showing up without anything respectable, it blows my, that's just hard for me to believe. Last couple things. Diversity. I believe Uniqua got to get a chance to be at them bar mitzvahs. Okay, we need some diversity. And the last thing is safe houses, safe havens, because you're describing how some people go looking for help and they get taken advantage of in all different type of ways. And they have people that surround them they're not good people. They're not the right people. They don't have the right spirit. So we need to try to see if maybe like in each major city, we could start in our lifetime in each major city, it could spread out from there. But we want to just create these safe haven spaces where people just say, look, we see the people being taken advantage of in the music, and we are going to come together to create a safe space so that people have to come. And then within that safe space, we focus on a youth program, so that if you are too busy, you got a youth that you done trained that could take that person and help them. I believe that's what we're supposed to do.
All right, those are good things, and Justin, the last word before we wrap up.
I love that. I love that. Last word, no real last words, man. But I tell you what, it's got me energized just hearing even Uniqua's journey. Like, I promise you, this is everybody's journey. Like, we've all been there. And so to be someone that is the center of this as far as helping someone grow as an artist and taking them all the way through the entire process, man, this is going to be a lot of fun. And I can't wait to see, just how far we take this. It's real. It's real to me. It's every day for me. So I'm looking forward to just how this is helping. It's already helping. So, but this is, I love the city to city, having a place for every, in every other, city, having a place. Like, it's so critical, man. People are getting jacked up, man. Like, they're getting jacked up, man. I just had a friend of mine, an artist that I'm about to help with her production team, and I'm like, she's like, these guys are out of control, and I'm like, power, and being in your own little nerdy type of world,
Yeah.
where it's like I'm a professor, engineer, and they use it to their benefit and they try to take advantage. It's weird. So glad to be another option for those. So yeah.
So I just want to recap kind of the skills that we taught today were about personas. And again, the purpose of the persona is to go ahead, get intimately involved with your customers and what their needs are. Not only the challenges that they have, but also on the emotional level. So that way, when you actually look at your products or service offerings, you can tailor it. And a lot of businesses, they don't go through the work of really studying their customers, getting that customer feedback, but by taking the time out, really delving in deep, creating a persona, looking at what's your typical customer look like, what are their wants, what are their needs, what are their goals, what are their desires. You can actually figure out, here are the things I can do from a business perspective to make their life easier, to provide more value. And as you provide more value to them, that's going to actually generate more wealth for both parties involved. They're going to be willing to pay more for your service because you've tailored it toward the specific needs that they have. Again, we want to make sure that everyone picks up these tips that come straight from Silicon Valley. It's not too many of us out here. It's going to share these tips with you. So I'm hoping everybody picks this stuff up, starts using it. And with that, we'll wrap up the inaugural podcast of Black Valley, and we'll tune in next week for another episode. Thanks so much, everyone. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Brother Long.
Got it, bro.
Take care.